Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And that's your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi folks, welcome back. I haven't done one with a webcam in a long time. As you can see, I have my Tennessee hat, my Tennessee shirt. I'm going to go in there in a week or two. I'm thinking about moving there. I live in upstate New York. So we'll see what happens. But today we're going to talk about tomorrow's election. And it's a big deal here locally in Binghamton. I live in upstate for mayor. It's a huge election, but that doesn't concern you guys unless you live here. But the big election we're going to talk about is the Virginia gubernatorial race. Who will win? You have McAuliffe on the left and Youngkin on the right. Now, I have a little bit of skin in the game, personally. My daughter, her husband, and my granddaughter live in Virginia Beach. I understand that's where Youngkin is from. I don't know a lot about Virginia politics, nor do I want to. There's enough to cover already. But she'll be 3 next February, which means she'll be in school if McAuliffe wins. As a grandfather and a conservative person, as an American who loves the country and hates racism, having McAuliffe as governor with my granddaughter going to a school district in that state scares the hell out of me. It really does. Now, Virginia Beach area, it leans Democrat. And I say leans, I mean light blue. It can go both ways depending on the candidate, but technically it leans light blue, not dark blue. So that's a little bit better. I wish he lived in the interior, but it was a little more conservative, but they have a nice house. It's a nice place. So I'm a little biased, but I will say this, though. Let's run through a couple of things. Terry McAuliffe, former governor. Virginia only has one-term governors. Maybe they're smarter than the rest of us. And he's trying to get back into the governor's mansion. Now, very much Clinton-like, old a neocon, so to speak, will say and do anything, will just say things that are totally untrue, plant Democratic operatives with tiki torches in front of a Youngkin bus thinking they're like the white supremacists in Charlottesville. And one of them was black. These people are so stupid. And that backfired, of course. And they said, well, it wasn't really McAuliffe. Whatever. You think they would have pulled that stunt without running it by him first or his people? You're kidding yourself. Youngkin, I don't know a lot about. I know he's a businessman. I like the way he talks. He sounds like a sensible person. And right now, I think Youngkin's going to pull this off. But you never know. But here's the thing. I'm not so sure if Youngkin, who's running a really great campaign in a fairly heavy Democrat state, Virginia. I mean, if somebody had said this 15, 20 years ago, they would have think you were nuts. But Virginia has turned fairly red. Fairly blue. And I can't tell if Youngkin's campaign is really doing well, which they are, or McAuliffe is doing everything possible to shoot himself in the foot. I think he had a Hillary Clinton deplorables moment when he said during an interview he doesn't think that parents should have a say in what their children are taught in school. Well, you just lost some suburban mothers, suburban fathers as well. I guess Youngkin is plus 23 with suburban fathers and only plus 9 with suburban women. And usually they're heavy Democrats, so that's fairly good. I'm surprised a little lopsided. But anyway, shot himself in the foot. And then comes across the usual Democrat talking point, because they're all racist, at least at the higher level. Yeah, well, if you criticize CRT, you're racist. It's a dog whistle. Remember in Charlie Brown when the teacher was talking, wah, 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 wah. Well, that's what you got. So, and then it's just his personality. And it's like my grandma used to say, I'm talking about McAuliffe now. The guy's got the personality of an egg. He really does. He's arrogant, and he doesn't even pretend not to be arrogant. That's the thing, though. I notice with these progressives that they're not even trying to hide it anymore. And it's millions of people across the country. It isn't just people running for public office and elected officials. I think it's going to be close. I hope it doesn't come down to lawyers and judges and everything else. My understanding is they've already lined up a bunch of law firms. McAuliffe, of course, is in a big law firm. He's connected to the law firm that's defending the school district in Loudoun County. And, the situation there, I can't go into detail because this is YouTube, but I'm sure you know what it is on the side against the young lady's parents and the young lady. So that didn't go over too well either. It's just one incident after another. But it's his big mouth and his attitude. Now, who will win? Well, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. What I think will happen is, I think Youngkin's going to pull it out. Youngkin's going to pull it out. 52% to 48%. And I have a little map there, Virginia on top. My daughter and her family live in the bottom right-hand corner. That's where Virginia Beach is. And I should be going there in the next week, 10 days or so. But I don't know what's going to happen from this. I can't tell if this is the beginning of a red wave. Youngkin is an excellent candidate. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting the man down at all. He speaks well. He's intelligent. He gives a damn. He has conservative values concerning business and taxes and regulations and government overreach and all the things that I like. And I would vote for Youngkin in a millisecond if I lived in Virginia. And even that good of a candidate's only going to win by 4. That's my prediction. But McAuliffe did everything in his power, everything, to lose this. Between the actions of his people, his campaign, his own big mouth, his own arrogance, and he's incredibly arrogant. My God, if it's even possible, he's even more self-destructive and unlikable than Hillary Clinton. I didn't think that was possible. And Youngkin's he's a likable guy. He's the guy that, I have a daughter who's in her 30s. If she ended up with a husband like Mr. Youngkin, I would be delighted. Ask any father. Even the Democrats on the QT, if you ask them. Stable, intelligent, caring. Good looking. Got to tell the truth here. That does matter. Appearances do matter, especially in politics now with media. He just carries himself well. So I think that Youngkin's going to pull through the day. I just hope it doesn't go down to lawyers and judges in the end. If it gets a little closer, like maybe 51-49. But everybody says, well, John, 2 points, that's not a lot. Well, you're probably looking at 100,000 people. 100,000 people is what Youngkin's going to pull this off with. So I say good. I wouldn't call it a red wave by any stretch of the imagination. But the weird part is, unrelated to these guys, is New Jersey, which was a shoo-in for the Democrats. Absolute shoo-in. And that's getting tighter and tighter. It's just amazing to me. Trump, all the big shot Republicans, all those guys, they've had a mantra for a very, very long time. Oh, we're for this, we're for that, we're for cutting regulations in government. It doesn't really connect with the average person. But their number one weapon was, we might not be so great, but look how bad the Democrats suck. And that's served them well a little bit, but you got to have a lot more than that, because this time, this is going to be their last chance. This is going to be the Republicans' last chance. And I hope and pray there's enough state legislatures and Republican governors that vote for a convention of states. It was the first time in the history of the country that that portion of the Constitution was done. That was set up by the founders. I believe it's 2/3 of the states have to agree to a convention of states, and they can put amendments to the Constitution and circumvent the House of Representatives and the Senate. That was we'll call it a check and a balance that the founders put in. It's never been used. It's all brand new ground, breaking brand new ground. Is that a long shot? Maybe a little bit, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I'm going to think that the people of Virginia are going to be very well served, and I think it's closer than it should be. It really is. Youngkin should be up by 6, 7, 8 points. Easily. It's just there's so many of the federal government, Washington establishment elite, the lobbyists, they're all ultra progressives. There's just too many of them. So Donald Trump sent out a letter talking about how certain things he thinks about the elections in the past. Can't go into detail again because this is YouTube. But he said there is one way to overcome that if you believe it. That maybe some chicanery might have went down and things that maybe weren't so kosher is overwhelm the system with votes, Republican votes. This is a chance now for the Republicans of Virginia, whose organization sucked. They've been dealt a really good hand. Republican voters in Virginia need to come out, and need to come out in droves. In droves, historic numbers by Republican standards. To guarantee that anything we'll call below board isn't done and it won't matter. Overwhelm and flood the system, and Donald Trump sent out a letter saying that. The only way to protect us is to flood the system with votes. Not flood isn't rioting, flood isn't voting. So all the morons, I think that's what he meant. And this is going to be a fascinating test. The Democrat in New Jersey is going to lose, but he's a lot closer than should have been. So is this the beginning of a red wave? I don't know. We'll call it a red high tide. How's that? The beginning of a red wave. And so we're going to have to see. Because perception is reality in politics. And if Republicans start winning at this high level in Democrat states like this, people are funny. They want to be on the winning side, whether they like the candidate or not. Oh, I vote for him. I voted for her. Yeah, and they won. Yeah, look how smart I am. I picked the winner. And that's the way people are. So we're going to have to see. But there's one thing I want to say. All you Republicans out there and conservative people and independents, this is the Republicans' last chance. They pick up a couple of the state houses, a few congressional seats that are in open seats in special elections this year, and the midterms next year. If you pull the same crap that you've been pulling for the last 2 or 3 decades, people will be done with you, and the Democrats will sweep everything. Talking about tax brackets and, nobody wants to hear that. They want to know how it's going to affect them. They want to know how their free speech has been stifled. They want to know their kids are going to get a real education rather than indoctrination. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear that the price of gas isn't going to triple again, that their food is going up 20, 30, 40%. They need help. And you can do it if you win. But this is your last chance. This is the biggest chance the Republicans have had since Newt Gingrich's contract with America. And this is yours to lose. We'll see if they will wise up. And until next time, goodbye and good luck.